Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. My name is Callum, and if you'd asked me 6 months ago what I feared most, I would have said something simple. Losing my job, disappointing my parents, aging badly, whatever. I didn't know then that the thing that truly terrifies a man isn't any of those. It's silence. Silence where love used to live. My wife, Alara, had been distant for months. She used to be all soft laughter and warm hands. Lately she felt more like the ghost of someone I used to know. I'd ask how work was, and she'd say, fine. I'd ask if she wanted to grab dinner, and she'd say she wasn't hungry. I'd ask if something was wrong, and she'd say she was tired. Everything was fine. Not hungry, tired. The holy trinity of fading affection. Still, I wasn't prepared for the text. It came at 6:04 p.m. on a Wednesday. Alara. Stuck in traffic with a coworker. Don't wait. No heart emoji. No explanation. No love you. Just a statement. Clean. Detached. Mechanical. I stared at the message for a long moment. My thumb hovered. My heart beat heavy. I'd been feeling something was off. But that night? Clicked. Not as panic. Not as heartbreak. Something colder. Something still. I typed back 2 words. Me. Perfect timing. It was honest. Because I had just opened the door to find someone waiting on my porch. Someone whose presence shifted everything I thought I understood about my marriage. Her name was Maribel, and she looked like she'd been standing outside replaying the decision to knock about 100 times before finally doing it. She was in her mid-30s, soft-featured. A faint scar on her eyebrow. A messenger bag strapped across her shoulder. She held herself with a quiet strength, the kind you only gain after learning some things the hard way. Are you Callum? She asked, voice steady but her hands gripping the strap of her bag just a little too tightly. I am, I said. And you're? I'm River's wife. River. Alara's coworker. The one she'd been mentioning more and more lately. The one she always insisted was just someone from the team. The one whose name she let roll off her tongue like it weighed nothing. I stepped aside and let Maribel in. She didn't waste time. She opened her bag, pulled out an envelope, and slid it across the kitchen table. I sat. She stayed standing. These, she said quietly, were taken by a private investigator. My sister hired him. She had a bad feeling about River's work trips, about his late nights, about your wife. My throat tightened. The room felt smaller. I opened the envelope. Inside were photos. Clear ones. 2 people. My wife and River. Not kissing. Not touching. But too close. Too familiar. Too comfortable. The kind of closeness that emerges only when boundaries have been quietly erased. One photo showed them at a cafe, leaning in. One showed River brushing something off her cheek. One showed Alara smiling, really smiling, in a way she hadn't smiled at home in months. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Just hollow. How long have you known? I asked. 2 weeks, Maribel said. I wanted to confront him, but then your wife texted you tonight. It matched the timing of one of the patterns in the photos. I thought you deserved to know. I nodded, slowly. And then, something surprising happened. Maribel exhaled, long, shaky, exhausted. Not frustrated. Not furious. Just tired. The kind of tired that comes from loving someone who's slipping away despite everything you're doing to hold them. Do you want water? Tea? I finally asked. She shook her head. I'm okay. I needed you to see it from me, not from someone else. Something in the room softened. We weren't 2 strangers anymore. We were 2 people standing at the same emotional cliff, staring at the same truth from different angles. I checked the time. Alara should have been home soon. Maribel's voice lowered. When she walks in, I want to be here. Not to start a fight. Not to yell. I just want to look her in the eyes while she realizes we know. There was no malice in her tone. Just dignity. Quiet anger distilled into composure. I nodded again. Then stay, I said. She'll be here any minute. We sat, her straight-backed, composed. Me leaning forward, hands clasped, bracing myself. Minutes stretched. The clock ticked. The air thickened. Then we heard the front door unlock. The quiet click sounded louder than thunder. Alara stepped inside, brushing hair from her forehead, keys dangling from her fingers. She smiled into her phone, something she never did for me anymore. Then she lifted her head. Her smile died instantly, because sitting at the table, calm and unblinking, was Maribel, River's wife, holding the photos lightly between her fingers. And for the first time in months, I finally saw my wife feel something. Alara froze in the doorway like the air had turned to ice around her. Her fingers tightened around her phone, knuckles pale. For a long moment, she didn't say a word. She didn't have to. The guilt hit her eyes before the realization hit mine. Maribel didn't move. She didn't raise her voice. She simply placed the photos on the table, one by one, like she was laying cards in a quiet, devastating game. Finally, Alara spoke. Soft. Too soft. Callum? What is this? I didn't answer her. Not yet. I wanted to watch her face. I'd spent months searching for emotions that never appeared. Now, suddenly, they were all trying to surface at once. Shock, fear, disbelief, the slow bloom of panic. Maribel's voice broke the silence, gentle but sharp enough to cut. These were taken 2 weeks ago. My private investigator documented the night schedules, the cafe meetings, the missed work calls. And your husband? She nodded toward me. Deserve to know. Alara stopped breathing for a second. Her lips parted, but no words came out. It's not what it looks like, she whispered. The most predictable line in the world, yet she said it like she thought it might carry some miracle weight. I finally spoke. Really? Because the way you were smiling in those photos, I haven't seen that smile in our house since last winter. Her jaw trembled. Callum, don't, I said. I want you to think carefully before you lie again. She swallowed hard and looked down, her hair falling like a curtain she wished she could hide behind. She wasn't used to being confronted. She was used to silence. My patience, my hope. Not tonight. Maribel stood slowly, pushing in her chair with meticulous politeness. She faced Alara with a calmness that made the moment feel even heavier. I didn't come here to scream or humiliate you, she said. I came because I believe people deserve to stand in the truth they created. Alara flinched like the words had struck her. And River? She whispered, barely audible. Packing his things, Maribel replied. As of an hour ago. Alara closed her eyes. Maybe she saw her world tilting. Maybe she saw mine shattering. Maybe she saw her carefully kept secrets catching fire. I leaned back in my chair. So, the truth. Whenever you're ready, Alara. Her shoulders slumped, the facade slipping piece by piece. When she finally spoke, her voice cracked. We got close. Too close. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was stupid, and I wasn't thinking straight. Work was stressful and I felt unseen, she whispered. I stared at her. A long, heavy stare. You felt unseen? Alara, I spent months asking if you were okay. I tried to talk, to reach you, to figure out what changed. You shut every door before I even touched the handle. She shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. I didn't want it to get this far. I swear I didn't cheat. Not physically. Maribel raised an eyebrow with surgical precision. Emotional cheating counts. Alara covered her face with her hands. I know. What struck me wasn't her guilt. It was how she cried the exact way she'd stopped crying for me years ago. Quiet, soft, practiced. Tears for consequences, not for pain. I stood up. Slowly. Steadily. The room felt fragile. Like any sudden movement would make everything crumble. Alara, I said calmly. Why didn't you just talk to me? Why lie? Why let our home rot from the inside? She lifted her head, mascara tracing small black rivers down her cheeks. Because I didn't want to hurt you. Maribel let out a breathy laugh. Then what do you think this is? Alara stared at her, then at me, and something inside her seemed to break. A realization that she had crossed a line she couldn't uncross with apologies and tears. I'm sorry, she whispered. I still love you. That's when clarity settled over me. Not loud, not angry, but quiet and absolute. You don't love someone by replacing them emotionally, I said softly. You don't love someone by giving your best smile to another man. You don't love someone by letting them feel alone in their own home. She cried harder, but there was nothing left to save. I'm staying at my brother's tonight, I said, walking toward the hallway. I'll come back tomorrow for the rest of my things. Her voice cracked. Callum, please don't go. It was a mistake. Just one mistake. One mistake is a choice, I replied. A pattern is a truth. I picked up my keys. Maribel followed me to the door, her eyes soft but steady. Thank you, she said quietly, for listening, for staying calm. I nodded. You deserved honesty. We both did. As we stepped out into the cool night air, Alara called my name one last time, her voice breaking on the syllables. I didn't turn around. Some moments require you to face forward, even when everything behind you is begging for your attention. Maribel walked to her car. I walked to mine. Two strangers bound for different destinations, connected only by the truth we refused to keep living blind to. As I drove away, I didn't feel rage, or heartbreak, or betrayal, just clarity. The kind that arrives only when silence finally breaks, and you understand that losing someone who wasn't really with you isn't losing at all.